Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user SpotifY. Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after my parents disowned me? I honestly don't know if I'm being petty or if I'm finally just standing up for myself, but my entire family is acting like I'm the worst person alive. So, here we go. I, 28 female, have a younger sister, Emily, 24 female, who has been the golden child in my family for as long as I can remember. Growing up, she was the perfect daughter, straight A's, involved in everything, always showered with praise. Meanwhile, I was a kid who got good enough grades, stayed out of trouble, and just existed in the background. If Emily wanted something, she got it. If I wanted something, I was being difficult or selfish. It's been like this my whole life, and I've honestly just learned to deal with it. Anyway, Emily is getting married soon, and she asked me to be her maid of honor. To be honest, I was surprised she even asked me because we're not close. She's always been distant toward me, and I've always been treated more like an obligation than an actual sibling. But I said yes because I thought, why not? Maybe this could be a chance to bond, and if nothing else, I figured it would be easier to just go along with it than to deal with the inevitable fallout of saying no. Well, fast forward to the actual wedding planning, and it became very clear that my role wasn't really about me being her sister, it was about me doing things for her. She expected me to help plan everything, run around doing errands, and basically dedicate my life to this wedding. She and my mom started planning a pre-wedding family trip a week before the wedding, which they expected everyone to attend. It wasn't optional, it was mandatory, for the sake of family bonding. I told them early on that I wouldn't be able to take that much time off work, but I'd still come to the wedding and do my part as maid of honor. That wasn't good enough. My mom and Emily sat me down and gave me this whole speech about how this is the most important moment of Emily's life and how I need to be there to support her fully. They told me to think about the bigger picture and how family should come first. I told them that while I understood this was a big moment for Emily, I wasn't willing to upend my entire life for this wedding. I have a job, I have my own life. I can't just drop everything for a week-long trip on top of all the wedding obligations. That's when my mom told me that if I wasn't going to be there 100%, then maybe I shouldn't be there at all. I asked her if she was seriously telling me that if I didn't go on this trip, I wouldn't be welcomed at the wedding. She told me that I was being selfish and that my attitude was exactly why the family struggled to be close to me. Then my dad chimed in and said, "If you don't want to be a part of the family, that's your choice." At that point, I realized this wasn't just about the wedding. This was about every single time I'd been pushed aside in favor of Emily. Every single time I'd been expected to just suck it up and be okay with being treated like an afterthought. So, I told them I was done. If my presence was so conditional, then they could have their perfect family event without me. Cue absolute chaos. My parents freaked out, telling me I was being dramatic and making everything about me. Emily started crying, saying I was ruining her wedding over something so small. I got messages from other family members saying I should just do it for the sake of family harmony and that I was being ridiculous. My aunt, on my mom's side, is the only person who actually took my side, saying that she's seen this favoritism play out for years and she's proud of me for standing up for myself. Now, my parents have basically cut me off. They told everyone that I refused to be there for Emily, and now I'm getting the cold shoulder from most of my extended family. Meanwhile, Emily has fully replaced me as maid of honor and even made a passive-aggressive Facebook post about how she's grateful for the people who truly understand the meaning of family. Now, my parents are backtracking and saying I should come to the wedding to fix this mess because my absence is causing division. But at this point, I honestly don't even want to go. They made it clear how little I matter to them and now they just want me there so they don't look bad. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to attend? Should I just go to keep the peace? Or am I right to stand my ground? You are absolutely right to stand your ground, OP. No, you would not be the a-hole. They just want you there because it could ruin their picture-perfect family that they like to project. F them. And all those family members telling you to just bend the knee because it's for the family, screw them too. Like you said, if your presence is conditional, then they can just do it without you. And it sounds to me that your life would be much better with these toxic people out of it. So I wouldn't only not go to the wedding, I would also cut contact or go extremely low contact and information diet with them. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Inevitable Pie 9541 says, not the a-hole. You're absolutely right. They only want you to attend so they don't look bad. Shake my head. Your parents and your sister are horrible people. I'm so sorry. I'm glad at least your aunt is in your corner. Walk away. Live your best life. Salty Thing 3144 says, not the a-hole. Your sister is a bridezilla who fell for the wedding industries. This is the important day of your life. Marketing, and believes those ridiculous lists of wedding party duties they publish. This was never about bonding. She picked you because she expected you to do everything she wanted, and your mother probably suggested it because she thought enforced contact would induce sisterly affection. Drop out of the wedding and do not attend. Celtic Muse Books says, I see so many of these posts where family members drag the OP on social media and always wonder why the OP doesn't use the same social media to set the record straight. For example, when Bridezilla complains about OP not being a team player on her special Princess Day, why wouldn't the OP respond, so sorry you're feeling sad. I know you wanted me to quit my job to go on a trip with you, but I simply couldn't afford to do that. I'm also feeling sad that you kicked me out of the wedding party and uninvited me from the wedding because I couldn't afford to quit my job. And OP responds, you're right, I'll make a social media post in response as well and reach out to the family members that are icing me out. And GardenSafe8519 says, they're worried about appearances from other family or the groom's family. But where is your family harmony? Keeping the peace doesn't mean you need to disregard your own sanity or mental health and feelings. I'd say good riddance to that lot and let the pieces around them fall where they may. They'll be calling when they need assistance in their old age, and gasp, Golden Child refuses to do it. Not the a-hole. Live your life and look to the future. OP's edit to add or mini update. I'm not even sure where to put this updates since so much is happening so fast and I'm relatively new to this site. I use it for the adorable r/cats and nothing else, especially posting. But here we go. My parents and a big chunk of the family are getting ready to leave for the pre-wedding trip soon, which means things have been weirdly quiet. No over-the-top guilt trips, no dramatic passive-aggressive messages about preserving the family harmony. Just pure, unadulterated radio silence. I'm guessing they're too busy with last-minute packing and planning to keep up the pressure on me, which honestly has been a relief. That being said, I've started getting messages from some relatives who had no problem ignoring me a few days ago. Suddenly, my cousins are checking in like nothing happened, and my mom's sister, not my supportive aunt, the other one, sent me a long-winded message about how family disagreements shouldn't last forever, and how I should just let this go for the sake of keeping the peace. At first, I wasn't sure why they were all suddenly reaching out, but after talking to my aunt, I think I get it now. My parents have clearly been doing damage control behind the scenes, trying to keep everyone on their side before the wedding. They've had a few days to spin their version of events, but now that they're about to leave, they're realizing they won't have as much control over the situation while they're gone. That's probably why some of these relatives are suddenly reaching out to test the waters and see where I stand. So I've decided I'm going to respond, but not yet. I'm waiting until tomorrow when my parents and Emily are officially on their trip and too distracted to jump in and twist the story immediately. Once they're gone, I'm reaching out to everyone on my parents' side, the ones who ignored me, the ones who are suddenly acting friendly, all of them. And I'm not going to argue or explain myself. I'm just going to send them the exact messages my parents sent me when they told me not to come. No extra commentary, no justifications, just their own words. I don't expect everyone to suddenly take my side, but at the very least, I want them to see the truth before my parents try to twist things even further. I'll update again once I see how that goes. See you in the next one. Well, let's not waste any time and move on to the next one to see how that went. So, I wasn't sure where to put this update, but a lot has happened and it's honestly still sinking in. If you had told me a week ago that most of my extended family would actually take my side, I would have laughed in your face, but here we are. Once my parents and Emily were officially on their trip, I knew it was time. I had to reach out before they got back and had the chance to twist things even more. So, I sat down and made a list of every single relative on my parents' side who had either gone cold on me or outright ignored me since all of this started. Some of them had sent me passive-aggressive messages, others had just stopped responding altogether. These were the people who had clearly believed my parents' version of events without question, and if I was going to get the truth out, I had to do it now, before they could be manipulated again. I didn't send some big emotional explanation, I didn't beg for sympathy, I didn't even try to defend myself. All I did was send screenshots, the exact messages where my parents made it clear that if I wasn't going to drop everything for Emily's wedding, then I wasn't welcomed at all. No extra words, no added context. Just their own words staring my relatives in the face. And then I waited. I thought it would take a while for people to respond. Maybe I'd get a slow trickle of replies over a few days. Some hesitant, some half-hearted, but nope. Within minutes, my phone started blowing up. The first call came from my uncle, one of the people who had originally told me to think about the bigger picture and not let one argument ruin my relationship with my family. When I answered, he sounded angry, not at me, at my parents. The first thing out of his mouth was, "What the hell? This is not what your parents told us." Apparently, they had made it sound like I had voluntarily refused to come, that I had decided I didn't want to be a part of Emily's wedding just because. They never mentioned the ultimatum. They never admitted to cutting me off. He said he felt lied to and that he was going to have a conversation with them when they got back. My parents hate being confronted, so that should be interesting. Then there was my mom's sister, the one who had originally told me to be the bigger person and let this go for the sake of the family. Her response was short at first. "I didn't realize it was like this." Then, a few minutes later, she sent another message. "If I had known, I wouldn't have told you to just move on." So yeah, she backtracked fast. Then the cousins started chiming in. One of them admitted that they had distanced themselves because they didn't want to get involved in family drama. But after seeing the messages, they felt bad for assuming my parents were telling the truth. Another one literally said, "I'm sorry, I just assumed you were being difficult because that's what your mom made it sound like." That one stung. I mean, I get it. My parents have spent years painting me as the difficult one, and it's easier to believe the person making the most noise. But at least they were willing to own up to it now. And then, of course, there were the holdouts. A select few of relatives are still refusing to acknowledge that my parents did anything wrong. These are the ones who just can't admit they were wrong, who will defend my parents no matter what, because in their eyes, family is family. One of my aunts actually had the audacity to send me a long paragraph about how weddings are stressful and people say things they don't mean. I shut that down real fast. I told her that this wasn't some heat of the moment frustration. My parents cut me off and then lied to everyone about it. That's not stress, that's a deliberate choice. And if she still wanted to make excuses for them after seeing the proof, then I had nothing more to say to her. But the best part? My parents and Emily have no idea this is happening. Not a clue. They're off on their pre-wedding vacation, completely unaware that the family they thought was blindly supporting them has now seen the truth. No one has warned them. No one has given them a heads up. As far as they know, they're coming home to a family that fully supports them and thinks I'm the one who abandoned them. I don't know what's going to happen when they realize the narrative has flipped while they were gone. But honestly, that's not my problem anymore. I've cut off the people who refuse to see the truth, and I'm keeping the ones who actually care. They wanted me out? Well, congratulations, I'm gone. No more contact from me. They can deal with the fallout themselves because I've got a radiation suit. I already blocked their numbers, so if they want to talk to me, it'll have to be in person. Good job, OP. You dropped the truth and now you can walk away. I will be keeping an eye out just in case your parents decide to double down on the stupid, which sometimes is the case. But in the meantime, here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Dr. Deadpool. Employees are not allowed to leave the break room on their break. Whatever. This happened a few years ago when I worked at McDonald's. The one I worked in was near a bunch of schools, so most of the staff was high school kids. As summer vacation started, we began having the trouble of an employee getting break and then spending their break eating their meal and conversating with their friends who were still working in the kitchen. It was having a seriously bad effect on productivity as well as posing quite a few health risks, so our manager finally initiated a rule that if you were on a break, you couldn't leave the break room until your break was over. This went swimmingly until the kids went back to school. We then had a new problem. Short staffing during break cycles meant our ticket times would skyrocket during rushes. Management lifted the rule so that employees on break could clock in early and help with the rush. However, the district manager didn't like the implications of employees working shortened or no break shifts and forcefully reinstated the rule. They also doubled down by saying that employees who tried to work during their scheduled break would be written up and or terminated for doing so. Cue malicious compliance. The date was April 20th, 4/20, a day when nobody wants to be working at any fast food place, much less McDonald's. We had been getting slammed so hard from the open of the store that we called in extra help from other stores, including the regional and district managers. As the break cycle began, the management was pleased with the sub-2-minute ticket times they had managed to maintain. A few breakthroughs and we were all managing well. Then came my break. As soon as I sat down to eat, someone came into the store and ordered 47 double quarter pounders. This was right after the fresh initiative where all quarter pounders were made fresh, so this was already a minor panic. Immediately after that order, someone in the drive-thru ordered 75 20-piece nugget meal. Somebody had the munchies. The amount of panic in the kitchen was palpable. I was comfortably lounging in a chair, browsing my phone and enjoying my meal while the kitchen struggled to keep up with the orders. As ticket times began to soar, the management did exactly as I expected. District manager came into the break room and demanded me to end my break early and help in the kitchen. My response was very simply, I'm sorry, but according to the rules you made, I can be written up or terminated for completing your request. I then continued browsing my phone, trying to enjoy the last 10 minutes of my break. The regional manager entered the room and said that he would personally terminate me if I didn't do the thing that I wasn't supposed to do. The other employee who was on break with me immediately rose and clocked in despite still having 10 minutes left on her break. She was written up for breaking the rule after the shift was over, so I felt good sitting in my chair and continuing to ignore them. In the aftermath, the people who made the giant orders took what was made after half an hour and left with refunds for the unmade food, nearly $150 each. Customers who were waiting for smaller orders were compensated with gift cards for their patience, yet many walked out without even getting their orders. We paid out nearly $1,500 in gift cards. Because customers were walking out on orders without collecting them, we had nearly $5,000 in food waste that night. All of the closers went home with nearly 2 bundled boxes of burgers, fries, and nuggets. Regional and district managers were moved to a different region. The rule was edited to say that you were able to clock back in early at the manager's discretion in the event of a rush. Because I was the only employee who held his ground against the regional and district managers during the rush, I was rewarded with free meals and drinks until I moved away from my hometown and couldn't eat at that McDonald's anymore. Although, when I come to visit friends, I occasionally get rung up a manager discount by the few employees who still remember me. Willoughby, rules are rules, and sometimes you're just not allowed to interpret them when needed. I guess they learned a lesson there. Thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.